Hello, everyone. This is Josh, and welcome back to another night of Frugal Me Live, where we talk about all things related to your finances. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, "Give a man a fish, and you will feed him for a day. But if you teach that man how to fish, you will feed him for a lifetime." It is more worthwhile to teach someone to do something for themselves other than doing it for them, and it's going on a ever-going basis. Tonight, I am so excited to have Caleb Oliver here to talk to us as he shares some of the essential things that you need to know about your money in the journey to obtain financial literacy. How are you doing, Caleb?
All right. Hey, Josh. Thank you for having me. I am doing well. I'm excited for this interview.
Oh, well, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And before we get started, I just want to give a special shout out to Keisha that's working all of the technology for us. It really takes a lot off of my plate because it's a lot talking, trying to monitor everything and looking at everything like that. So special shout out to her. And also I have my computer here, Caleb, as well. So if you see me looking down, I'm also going to be monitoring the comment sections as well. But if you see any questions that pop up on the screen, if you want to have at it, feel free. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. So Caleb, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and where people can find you?
Yes. So my name is Caleb Oliver, and that is pretty much what all my social media sites are. That's how you can find me on YouTube. That's how you can find me on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Smooth Caleb, but also if you type in Caleb Oliver, I would pop up there too. So that's how you can find me there. And me, I'm a kid. I'm like 24 years old, from New York, and I like finance. I have a finance channel. Josh has a finance channel. We've been, following each other for a few. And when he invited me for this, I was so excited. Like, okay, let's do it. I see that, YouTubers are growing from this, and it is just good to just, communicate with people that just have the same like-minded ideas. So I really like that idea.
Oh, awesome. And so, Caleb, I was reading a study where that the U.S. has the largest economy in the world, but America ranks number 14 for adults being financial literate. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's like a bit eye-opener. So what exactly is financial literacy, and why do you feel that financial literacy is important?
Right. So I would say financial literacy is knowing your finances based on your level. So let's say there's different levels. So let's say level 1, you're just starting out, you're like 18 or so. That's like the basic level. You would want to start with like your budget and seeing how much you're spending, not overspending, just kind of those basics. Then as you level up, let's say the next step is homeowner. Then you would want to know about, mortgages, things like that. And then let's say the next step is you start a business. So that could be like level 3. Then you look at your taxes and business expenses, etc. So I really feel like it's a levels thing. You don't have to learn everything at once, but you kind of just start at the bottom and then build your way up, learning what's relevant to you in your time.
Okay. And also I really feel that being financial literate is very important too, because it equips us with knowledge and the skills to manage our money and appropriate those funds where they should go as well. That I'm very big on being with a budget and a plan in place. So whenever you're financial literate as well, by putting that budget in place, that you know where you're going. Because There's nothing more frightening to go out in the dark with no direction. It's like being on the sea with a sail and the wind will blow you over here. One day you're over here, it blows you another way and you're over there. And next thing you know, you're like, where am I? Right. So I just really feel that being financial literate and knowing what you're doing with your money is very important.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree, especially for people who are, younger, people in my age range, like 20 or so, because like we're just starting out. But kind of as you mentioned, it's not really taught in school, so people my age wouldn't really know. And that's kind of why I started my channel. I really wanted people my age, people that look like me, to like get this, because if you don't, then you kind of struggle and suffer, especially once you realize that almost every decision you make during your day is a financial decision. What you're going to wear, where you're going to go, what you're going to drive, etc. So you need to, really think about your finances so you can really create the life that you want to live.
And I like that you said how it's not taught in school, which is very odd, because everything that we do in life revolves around money. I know people say, well, money isn't all that. It's not all of that, but you need monies in order to survive off of in the world that we live in, especially whenever it's based around capitalism.
Right.
So the fact that it's not taught in schools, a lot of times that's concerning to me as well, that you will go to school and they teach you all about this stuff, but money is not like brought up until you're like in 4th or 5th grade. And they don't even teach you how to manage that money. It's just saying, this is a quarter, this is a penny, this is a dollar, how many quarters are in a dollar, but it's not really teaching people how to manage their money. And that's one thing that I really feel, Caleb, that society is lacking. And that's that financial education, especially when it comes to the kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I teach my daughters all the time is the value of the dollar.
Right.
Because it's sad that I meet kids all the time out there and they don't know the value of a dollar. We go down to Costco and my daughter, she loves the churros. And sometimes she's like, oh, Daddy, I want that. And I'm like, well, Lizzie, that costs about $300. And she's like, oh, but then I would break it down and say, Lizzie, think about it. That's 300 churros. And she's like, oh, then it's a light that goes off in her head. But I wish it was more people out there, especially in the school system, who would be able to teach personal finance. I know you have some high schools that may incorporate it, but that's the exception and not the norm.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially as you mentioned children, or even as they get a little bit older, talking about like high school into college age, when, students would take out student loans. The fact that these companies would like go after, 17, 18-year-olds, make them sign, and they're going to be paying this off for 20, 30, 40, X amount of years, and they have no idea what they're getting into until it's too late. So yeah, really got to let the children know, or let, younger people know, this is your money. This is how you spend it, save it. Don't spend it this way, just to avoid all these little traps here and there.
Okay. So what doors have been unlocked for you during your financial journey that made you more aware to be financial literate?
Right. So on this journey that I'm on here, one of them was just starting this channel and meeting other content creators like yourself. Maybe not meeting them in person, but meeting them online or in the text in the chat. I thought that was so big. Like, wow, other people like finance, other people are starting channels, so that's cool. Especially some of the people who watch my channels, they're abroad. They're content creators as well, YouTubers, but they are, in different countries. So it's like, wow, they'd watch my content. I could watch their content. And then contact them across the water. Like, that's just such a big idea. Like, just the whole networking behind it. And then how that relationship can, break off into whatever it might break off into, a business or just a good friendship. So I really like that idea. Other opportunities, let me see. One of the opportunities that I got was with some of these videos I made, I was able to post some of these with my church. My pastor was gracious enough, and I'm grateful to him, to allow me to have a Money Monday series back in August. So for the Mondays in August, I posted a video on our church page, and it went over some of the basics of the finance. So just to be able to get that exposure, and again, just kind of let the kids see it, and everybody who really watched it, let them see it. So just kind of that networking idea and just getting the content out there. Those are some big doors that were open for me so far.
Yes, because knowledge is power.
Yep.
And when you equip people with that knowledge, you are then now giving them the power to go out there and change the world. Because it only takes because you got to think, whenever you were back in school, without those teachers, without those professors that will actually just push you in the way that you should go, you would be lost.
Right.
And I'm just metaphorically speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things whenever you go out there and you show someone and tell someone, like, this is the way, if you, look, I'm just going to phrase it like this. There's power about compound interest. And that's one thing that I wish I would have known earlier in life by just even putting that $100 to $300 in a month.
Right.
Even if $100 is much, breaking it down $25 a month over just say 18, 20 years, you're talking about some money there that's growing on top of that with compound interest.
Right.
So just by telling people those nuggets and putting that information out there, it's a powerful statement there.
I agree. Definitely, I agree. Whether it's making a YouTube video or even I see there was some post that went viral. It's like one post with like the top 10 financial things you should do, talking about 15-year mortgage, etc. And even though I didn't necessarily agree with everything in it, I definitely shared it and put the disclaimer at the top. So, this is not mine and I'm just sharing it to share. But I want, people to know, because people might have no idea about it. Then they see and they say, oh, that's kind of a good idea. And then it puts them on their financial journey. So definitely all about that.
Awesome. So why is it important for someone to diversify their income?
Right. Definitely in times like these, but in general, we see, how fickle a job can be. You can be the best employee out there. You could be doing well and everything, but something can happen. A pandemic can happen, or even, downsizing can happen and job is gone. So it's so important to make sure that you have a side business or some sort of side income or passive income coming in. That way, if something goes wrong in one spot, in the next spot, you still have money, or even in those two spots, you have another place where you can get money. So that way you can just keep, supporting yourself and not just wait on, oh, I hope the job calls me back, or, oh, I hope I get another stimulus check, but making sure you're taking care of yourself. As you said in, your last video.
And two, I love it whenever you say, even if a pandemic or something come up, because one thing that people realize here in the year 2020 is that the 9 to 5 isn't as stable as it used to be. And for one person, and I'm talking about like a supervisor or a boss or a board, whoever you work for one person to have that much power with a stroke of a pen that will be able to keep you on staff or let you go. That one person have too much power to that person with a stroke of a pen can have you to lose your car, your home, change the dynamic of your family. So that's why I really feel, and that's why I began diversifying my income as well. Because if my supervisor would have a bad day, they could say, you know what, we're just going to cut this program out. And then I'm out there and like, what do I do? But
Right.
whenever you have your eggs in different baskets, it's like the old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. But whenever you are spreading out your eggs, if one basket falls, these other baskets still have eggs, and you can still go on and make a cake and fry some eggs and live off of.
Right.
But it's one of those things whenever you just, like you said, sitting there twiddling your fingers saying, oh, what is this job going to do? And you can take that and start making stuff happen for yourself. Because whenever you sit there and become so dependent on other people, and Caleb, when people out there become so dependent on other people, then they really lose their true identity.
Right.
That I'm a firm believer, Caleb, that we are placed on this earth for a reason and a time. And I'm not gonna I knew a lady, and I shared this in one of my previous videos, and I was talking to her, and she was encouraging me, Joshua, go out there, diversify your income, spend time with your babies. Don't just work for somebody for your entire life. And whenever she was nearing the end of her life, she told me that whenever you're laying on your deathbed, that the last thing that you're going to the last thing that you will not say is, I wish I would have worked more.
Right.
So it's one of those things, Caleb, that even being financial literate, you have to go out there and find your own way at the same time. I'm not saying it's wrong to go out and work for someone, but I don't want to go spend 10 hours on a job working for somebody else. And I'm so tired that I can't even put 2 hours in a day to fulfill my own dream, my own job. And I told someone before that I don't want to spend more time with my boss than I do with my wife. So it's so powerful to diversify your income, to start entrepreneurship, to start looking at different ways. It's not all about the money, but if somebody said, would you do this for free? You would say yes. But at the same time, whenever you start adding value to other people, that's whenever those blessings, and you will begin to receive that back because you're adding value to other people. And that's even whenever I started my channel, it wasn't so much saying, okay, yeah, YouTube, you can make money off that. I think I'm going to do that. But my philosophy is, what can I add back to the community, adding value to people? Because when I was younger, my mom and my dad, they taught us about a little bit about how stocks work, about that we got to put our money in savings. Mm-hmm. But whenever I went to college, a lot of people didn't know that. And they was like, now, Joshua, like, how did you do this? How did you do that? So that's even why I started this particular channel. It was a lot of questions. And I'm like, well, let me just add value back to other people. So I know we got to keep moving on. If you're listening to this, all of Caleb's information is down in the description box below. You really have to check out his channel. It's very personable. So Caleb, what is your view on debt?
Yes, I actually made a video about this, good debt versus bad debt. And I know in that comment section, we kind of had a conversation there, but it's good to talk about it. Based on just kind of what I've seen and everything, I would say something like good debt would be like, your mortgage, or maybe if you were starting like a business and you were sure that you'd be able to pay off that loan, cool. But bad debt would pretty much be, well, everything else. Just uncontrollably swiping the card in the store, bad. Let me buy a new car, even though, my job is whatever, and I still live in a whatever place. Bad idea. Or any other way, even student loan is even somewhere in the middle, because it's like, well, you could make more money afterward. Or if you don't know you really want to do this, but you took out this money and I got to pay it back. So I kind of see it as good debt and bad debt. But I think your view is a little bit different, right?
A little bit. Oh, yes. Well, like you said, it's very foolish for someone to go out there with their card and just swipe uncontrollably. And one of the worst things that you can buy on credit, what I feel, is food. Whenever you go out and charge your food, talking about a depreciating value. I mean, once you swipe it, you go out to eat and a few months later, you're still paying on that steak. You pay $30 for the steak, but after that interest kick in, you're paying double for your steak. And by the time you got home, you're already looking like for a snack. Like, okay, now what else can I put? What else can I eat? So yeah, I'm not saying nothing wrong with steak. My wife can tell you I love a good steak, but I'm not going to go out and charge my food because that's just dumb.
Right.
For lack of a better word. But yeah, I know that, like you said, with the different, that we do have our differences on debt, but I'm just a person that I really feel that if you're in a position, if you're in a position to avoid debt, because debt comes with risk, and you have people out there, and I get it, that people say, well, risk is good because if you risk, but not whenever it puts me in a position whenever it causes unnecessary stress. And I understand that not everyone would have $500,000 to go out there and buy a home. Right. So I'm not against mortgage at all. But I'm against those foolish purchases because in our conversation that I had, I know I was just telling you, like, even if I would go out and take a $500,000 mortgage over 30 years, I'm actually paying nearly $860,000 for that same mortgage. So I'm paying an additional $360,000 over 30 years just for that. So my first home that I bought, Caleb, I took out a mortgage on it. I had an FHA loan. And with that FHA loan, it was great. It was a nice home, 7 bedrooms, 4 full baths. I told my realtor I didn't need it, but it was like for a steal. But at the same time, whenever I was selling that home, the bank was like, you owe only how much for it? Because it's good to have that. And that way I was able to accumulate couldn't think of the word right now. But the home went up in value so much. So whenever I paid it off, sold the home, any extra penny that I had on that home, I was able to just throw at it. So like if I was still in that home today, it would have been paid off in full in no time. Mm-hmm. Like I was under $100,000 on that, house. And it wasn't, just like a little shed. It was nice home.
Yeah.
I would say
you're like down south, right? Like I'm in New York, so I know how much, but I think things are cheaper there. What's your state again?
Georgia.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I heard that things are cheaper down there. Even as I was talking to one of my coworkers recently, we were walking around. I was a census enumerator, so we're knocking on doors and looking at houses. And he was talking about how his family moved back down there, and they have, similar type house you're describing, like 5 bedroom and X amount of bathroom. And he said it was like only like $232,000. I was like, 200 in my neighborhood here in Queens, New York, a regular house like starts at 500,000 up. So they have a mansion for like half the price. It's just, I can't even fathom it, but it's just wild, the differences. Crazy.
Yeah, I have all the New Yorkers in the room right now going, that's what Keisha, that's where she lived for a while. So she's in the background saying,
Oh, man.
So when did you acquire your financial literate mindset? Like, was there an event that happened that caused you to shift your way of thinking?
Sure, yeah. So there's a little story with it in my background. So back when I was in college, I graduated in 2018. Before those 4 years, like 14 to 18, I had money. I was given money to go to school. So thank God I don't have any student loan debt. And so I took care of that. But also in conjunction with that, I was also spending just crazy, buying clothes and buying all kind of nonsense and just swiping it. Luckily, to take a step back on that debt question, I did not have a credit card back then. So the worst that could have happened was I went to zero. If I did have a card and I was going crazy, then woo. Well, anyway, thank God that didn't happen. But anyway, I graduated cool. And then a few months after I graduated, I didn't find a job in my field. And then I pretty much was running low on money. So it's like, now I need a job. And when I was doing job training for pretty much one of the first jobs I got after I got out of college, my windshield wipers broke. Like there was an unexpected snowstorm, and it wasn't just the wipers on the outside, but when I pressed the lever for the windshield to go, like the motor blew, and that's $150 cost. I knew this because I did that same accident like a year ago. You shouldn't make the same accident twice. Anyway, I knew it was $150 fee, and I didn't have that saved up. Back then, I wasn't financially literate. I didn't have any emergency savings, so I had to drive around for like a week or until I got paid the next check with no windshield wipers. And that was so, scary. Like, I hope it doesn't rain, or if it rains, just rain a little bit. Now, luckily, my job is only like 5 minutes away, so I just zoomed there and zoomed back, and I was cool. But after going through that ordeal, I realized I need to take my finances more seriously, because if I need $150, thing, because nowadays, if it would have happened, I would have had it saved, would have swiped my card, got the issue fixed, and then paid off the card immediately. It would have been no problem. But to have to worry like that, I realized I don't ever want to have to do that ever again. So that's when I kind of started taking my financial journey more seriously. That was like the end of 2018. And then in like mid 2019 or so, I started watching financial YouTube videos, people like Graham Stephan, Tommy Bryson, all these people that kind of inspired me. And then I really took my journey more seriously. And then fast forward to March 2020, the end of March, that's when I said, okay, I want to do what they're doing. Now I'm home. We're all home. I'm going to start this channel. And, just kind of went from there. So that was kind of but that windshield wiper story, that was my big moment. Like, I can't just be spending money, because when something goes wrong, you need to have money to fix it, not,
Yes.
hoping that something else doesn't go wrong. So, yeah.
So what would you say the biggest mistake that you made when it comes to money management?
Okay, that people make. Yes. One of the biggest mistakes that I think that people should change would be like the whole consumer mindset. Now, I'm not going to lie, similar to what I just said, when I was in college, I had a big consumer mindset. And even now, to a degree, it's like, oh, I think I want to buy something. But if we could really just scale that back, people would really they'd be better financially. Because as long as you're in that consumer mindset, oh, I need a bigger car, bigger house, I need a new outfit every time I go out, I need to, go out to eat, and just all this consumer every commercial, I gotta buy. If you could really bring that to a minimum, then you'd have more money to save, invest, and really live the life you want. But I feel like people are unfortunately so wrapped up in that, and they just spend so much money on so much nonsense that they don't even have money to, advance in life. So breaking down that consumerist behavior, that'd be a really big thing.
All right. And how would someone get started on the journey?
Right. I think the first thing would be writing out a budget. So on my financial journey, I did it with pen and paper. I got my notebook and I wrote down, how much I had, and I kind of went from there. Because I remember after I got that first job, like only having a little bit of money, I had like only $30 to go to the store and just bought my basics, like my basics for lunch and maybe one more thing, and that was it. And then I kind of grew it from there. But you really do need to see how much you're making, where it's going, eliminate the nonsense, see if you can reduce some of the necessities if you can, and then really just grow from there. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much. And is there anything else or any other nuggets that we didn't cover that you wanted to share?
Right. I'll add two things. One I got when you were talking before, so I'll go back to that. It's about having a passion, because you were talking about being at the job and you don't want to be there too long. I really think people need to focus on having the passion, because when you're at a job, it's very easy to stay there and whatever, you get a little bit more money, blah, blah, blah. Even my friends, we work at the airport and we were joking that we were going to get like a 60-cent raise. We're like, whoa, that's going to be great. We're going to stay here forever. But realistically, you get stuck in that. It's like there's more to life than that. And I worked in the airport. So once like everything hit with the pandemic, we were still working there for a bit, but there was nobody to help, nobody to serve. So we're kind of just standing there. And I said, like, I'm wasting my time. I come here, I stand here 8 hours. I'm not doing anything. I need to be doing something with life. So the way you said, you need to find something that you would do for free, find something that you would do for a passion. I really think people need to do that, whether you're young and you're just starting out, or even if you're older and you're about to retire or something. Once you retire, you can then go out and find a nice side hustle that works for you, or start a business that works for you. So you can both enjoy your life and have money to actually, live. That's one thing. And the other thing, piece of advice that I would leave people would be to start reading books. That's something I started doing at the top of the year, January 2020. And I actually use Audible, because I know a lot of people don't like to read physical books. Even me, I kind of struggle with that a little bit. But I just put it on in an audiobook format, listen to it, and then I'm all set. So listening to books has really helped me grow in my financial mindset, like learning about other things financially I otherwise wouldn't have known about, and business, and just really just shifting my mindset. So I think people would really benefit if they started reading, because I know when people go to school, which is kind of also what we talked about, we have a negative experience. We think, I don't want to learn. I'm going to graduate. I'm never going to learn again. But that's like a horrible mindset. You need to keep growing so you can keep making money, and also just keep growing in other areas of your life, spiritual life, your health life, every other aspect of your life. So I would encourage people to start reading, even if it's an audiobook. Go on Audible, free trial, and then listen to it. You're all set.
Absolutely, because knowledge is power.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, Caleb, thank you so much for joining in tonight to Frugal Me Live, where we talk about all things about your finances. I encourage everyone that's watching now and also on the playback to look down in the description box below. Go check out Caleb's channel as well. He has some great material and great content over there on his page. And also you can follow him over on Instagram. And what is that Instagram again?
Yeah, Smooth Caleb, that's me. And then you'll see the same picture you see here on YouTube for me. I try and keep it all consistent. That way, when you look for me in one area, you'll find me in them all. But it's Smooth Caleb on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for tuning in. Remember that being frugal is not about being cheap. It's about being resourceful. I will see you in the next video. All right. Thank you so much, Caleb.
All right. Thank you. That was